Paper 1, question 1. This first part is an algebra question where we have an equation where an expression equals an expression. So we need to open up all the brackets and collect and tidy together and eventually get x is equal to get an answer. So on the left hand side we have 5 and we have minus 14 and plus 7x. So that's 5. If minus 7 times by 2 gives me minus 14, minus 7 times by minus x gives me plus x squared, plus 7x. On the right hand side we have minus 2x and we have the minus 3 being multiplied by everything inside the brackets. So we have minus 3 times by 1 gives me minus 3, and minus 3 times by minus 4x gives me positive 12x. Tidy up either side, we get minus 9 plus 7x on the left hand side and 10x minus 3 on the right hand side. How have we done that? Well, the 5 and minus 14 gives me minus 9. 7x is the only x term on the left hand side. On the right hand side we have minus 2x and plus 12, so minus 2 plus 12 gives me 10, so it's 10x, and then the minus 3 is the only constant in there. So lastly, we want to get the x's onto one side, numbers onto the other. So if I were to take away 7x from both sides, I'll be left with 3x on the right hand side. And if I add on 3 to both sides, I get minus 6 on the left hand side. So I've eliminated this 7x by taking away 7x from both sides, and I've eliminated this minus 3 by adding 3 to both sides. Lastly, divide by 3, and I'm left with minus 2 as my answer. Then to verify, all I need to do is take my answer I've got and shove it back into the equation and see whether the left hand side is equal to the right hand side. So 5 take away 7 lots of 2 minus x, so that's minus 2. Well, that's 5 take away 7 lots of 4, which is 5 take away 28, which is minus 23. On the right hand side we have minus 2 lots of minus 2, minus 3 lots of 1 minus 4 lots of minus 2. This is a horrible question just for the fact there's so many negatives going on. Well, suffice to say I have positive 4, that's the minus 2 times minus 2 gives me 4, and this is going to be minus 3 multiplied by, well, what do we have inside the brackets there? We have 1 minus 4 lots of minus 2, so that becomes plus 8. Minus 4 times by minus 2 is plus 8. So 1 plus 8 is 9. So we have 4 take away 27. That's minus 3 lots of 9, which also gives me minus 23. So they're both the same as each other. Therefore, I have shown that my answer of minus 2 is correct. It works. I've verified it. Moving on to part B, solving an inequality. With these, you can tend to take the similar approach to if it was just a normal equation and just solve that inequality. The only thing you can't do is multiply both sides by a minus or divide by a minus number, negative. So if we just look at what we've got here, I want to get the 7 and the minus 2 somehow combined together to be a number, and I want the x's on the other side. Now, this minus 4x, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to get rid of this x term on the left-hand side. I'm going to move it onto the right-hand side, and the minus 2 I'm going to get rid of from the right-hand side. So we have 7 minus 4x. I want to get rid of that minus 4x. If I add 4x to both sides, I end up with a positive 4x on the right hand side. If I add 2 to both sides, I get 9 on the left hand side. So I've got rid of this minus 2 by adding 2, so add 2 to here, it disappears, add 2 to this, I get 9. If I add 4x to this, it disappears. If I add 4x on the right hand side, it becomes 4x. So lastly, I divide by 4, and my answer is x is less than 2 1/4. That's what 9/4 is, 2 1/4. So on this graph, while I'm looking at this graph, I notice that my number line is, my units are broken into quarters. So there's 2 1/4, and x is less than or equal to 2 1/4. X is an integer, so an integer is any positive or negative whole number. So in this case, all the values that are less than 2 1/4 are 2, 1, 0, and so on. It includes the negatives as well. Okay. And it does indeed continue on below -3, but we're not going to go any further than that. Okay, it would be -4, -5, and so on and so on. Moving on to part C, they have given us an inequality, but it's not written in algebraic terms like this answer here, like this question here. It's given to us in a graphical format on a number line. So we go from 1 down to -2.5. And you'll notice that that dot there is an empty dot. This is a filled in dot. It's not very clear, you have to have good eyesight, but that's an empty dot, that's a filled in dot. So the empty dot means 1 is not part of the solution. It goes up to, but doesn't actually include 1. Here it goes down to a -2.5 and includes -2.5. So how we show that is we go from -2.5, and it can be equal to, so that's why I've got that extra line written in, and x goes up as far as 1, but I don't have an extra line written in here because it can't be equal to 1, it only goes up to it. X is less than 1.